All right, welcome everybody to today's webinar. I'm Steve Mahoney. I'm a mentor with the Greater Hartford chapter of SCORE. I'm joined by El Kowal, who is also with SCORE, and Jill McAllister, who is going to be taking you through today's topic, which is all about growing your email subscriber list. Jill, take it away.
Great, thank you. Thank you everyone for being here. And I do want to thank Steve and Elle from SCORE for asking me to share this information with all of you. For those of you that were here the other day, this is another component of email marketing that is important. If you missed the other one, this is still a standalone topic. And for those of you that have not done any email marketing or are just getting started with it, really building your list comes first anyway. So this should work for everyone. And even those that have been doing it for a while, it's always a little bit of a challenge to continue to grow your list. So that's what we'll get into today. But I do want to introduce myself. I'm Jill McAllister. I own Tonsha Marketing Agency in South Windsor, Connecticut. We offer a full range of marketing support services from graphic design and print, website design, content maintenance, copywriting, social media, online advertising, and more. Um, and one service that we also provide is email marketing support. So this presentation is brought to you through Constant Contact. I am part of their Authorized Local Expert program, which means I've gone through their partner certification program and I've auditioned and they have approved me to lead marketing presentations that they've created with a little bit of customization depending on the audience. So, but Constant Contact is the leader in email marketing platforms. They also offer a range of other marketing tools. So, even if you're not using Constant Contact, the strategies will still work for you. But it is kind of in the context of Constant Contact as a leader in email marketing. And we are going to be talking about growing your subscriber base. So today we're going to cover how to build a permission-based list. And we'll get into why it's important to have permission to email people, and then how to get those permissions. We're going to talk about how to entice people to sign up, and there are some tools that you can use to automate and make it a little easier for you to manage your contact list. And while we're talking about Constant Contact, we want you to know that they offer they're known for email marketing that for years. That's what they started with. But they have evolved quite a bit. The platform now offers a lot of other marketing tools and they're integrated. So they're just keep in mind there is even more that they offer. All right, so you do all the hard work to create an engaging email newsletter, and everyone thinks that that's the toughest part, and it is. For sure it is. You have to put thought into what you're trying to say, how it's going to sound appealing, um, and how to get people to follow a call to action or do something to further engage with you, your brand, your services. But without a list, your beautiful email is not going to go anywhere. And it's not just a list of emails. It's important to understand who you're trying to reach. And for many businesses, and I heard there's a nonprofit, but for many businesses, they actually have two different groups that they market to. They might be marketing to their current customer base, where you're already working with them, but you want to keep them and maybe expand the services that they're using with you. But then you also may be marketing to prospects, people that have shown an interest, you've met them somewhere. The messages to those people could be different. So you want to keep your audience in mind. It's possible you'll end up with multiple email lists depending on, and we'll get into that a little more, but we're going to be figuring out how segment your lists and keep in mind the messaging depending on who you're trying to reach. So first we're going to talk about permission-based list. What does that mean? And if you think about, we all get spam, we all get emails, some of them go in the spam folder, some don't. But think about the last time you received one. What was your initial reaction? And since I can't see you, I'm going to guess most people feel annoyed. And the level of that annoyance might be based on what the message is that's coming to them or how many they get. Spam folders do a nice job of weeding those out for you, but they still come in. So there are some concerns though. Well, how did they get my email address in the first place? That can raise some concern. Marking it as spam and junk might be a reaction you take, or again, your email system that you're using, the Outlook or Google, whatever you're using to receive your emails might have filters in it that sometimes work and sometimes don't. You might unsubscribe. You might be so annoyed that you don't ever want to hear from them again and you unsubscribe. So when you are building a list of people that want to receive your emails, or at least are willing to give your emails a chance, they're going to be received obviously in a better perspective. So I want to talk a little bit about legalities of spam. There is an act in the United States, and it doesn't go as far as preventing spam, but it does offer requirements that your emails should be using to be less apt to be labeled as spam. How is it enforced? I assume lawsuits. So how many of those there are, I honestly don't know. But it's also just best practice. You want to be transparent to the people you're emailing to. It shows you're a credible business. So in this act, they require that the from address and the reply to address, which aren't always the same. You can set it up so that if someone replies to your email, it goes to someone else in your company, perhaps. But those are valid emails. They're not masked. They're not fake. That they are valid and in constant contact anyway. There's a verification process that goes through to only allow verified emails after you've gone through a process with that. The subject line needs to be accurate and not deceptive. The physical address needs to be shown for your business, so your registered physical address. And there needs to be a clear way to opt out of the email. So if you're using your own system, but you're emailing to, 50, 100, however many people you might be using that for, you should still try to meet these requirements. I did want to also make one more note about legality. If anyone is emailing internationally, you really need to research the laws of that country. Canada has their own regulations. Europe has their own regulations. So if anyone's doing that, please be aware that there are stricter restraints in other countries in some cases. And let's talk about how we keep our emails from going into spams. You followed all those rules, but maybe they're still going into a spam folder, in which case someone's probably not going to pay any attention to it unless they know you, unless they really wanted to get your email. And even then, some people don't even check their spam folders. So, here are some tips. You always want to ask for permission. Now, there is such a thing as implied permission. If you're at a networking event and everyone's sharing their business cards, That's implied consent. They wouldn't give you their business card with their email on it if they were opposed to hearing from you. However, it's not direct permission, but it is implied permission. So from a legality point of view, it's fine. From a realistic point of view, if you wait 6 months and now you're reaching out to them and you've never seen them again since that one event, now they're going to not remember you possibly and have no idea why you're emailing to them. So that's a way to handle business card emails. You don't want to hide your identity, like we said in the email. You don't want to send irrelevant content because, first of all, the person's not going to want it. But again, they're more apt to label it as spam. You want to keep your promises. If you've told them that they will receive something, it needs to be pertinent to what you said you would send them. You don't want to overwhelm your audience. If you've ever signed up for coupons and suddenly you're getting 100 emails a day, it feels like, from that business, then you're overwhelming them and they're probably going to opt out or label you as spam and have it go into their spam folder. So,
Jill,
yep.
sorry, just one thing. There's a couple people who have their hand raised in
Okay.
the session. So
Okay.
we don't, everybody's muted. So I'm just ask those people, if you have a question, put it in the chat box and then we can answer it either at the end or as we go. That would probably be the best way to do that. So I just wanted to make that plug.
Yeah, just to clarify, put it in the Q&A box, and then we'll keep an eye on that.
Sorry, Q&A, yeah.
Get your question to Jill. Thanks.
And we do have plenty of time for questions, so I don't want to get too far ahead from someone's question. If there is one or two right now, because we're going to start getting into a new subject, I'm happy to answer them now if you guys see any.
I don't see any that have been submitted yet, just the hand raises. But if they come in, I'll maybe take a pause and a few more, 5 minutes or something, and then we'll check back.
Great. Okay, thanks. So now when we talk about the different email platforms, Constant Contact is one, there's MailChimp, there's a lot of people have an industry specific customer management system. Maybe it's connected to their billing, their website, and an email service. So there's lots of ways where you might be using an email platform. What you need to question or find out more about is, what is that email company's deliverability rate? How good a job do they do of getting your email into someone's inbox instead of into their spam folder, or maybe not delivering it at all? And it's not just whether you have an accurate email address. The mail servers that are out on the internet, and especially the private ones for maybe a corporation, they have different measurements of a valid email. And one of those measurements is, what's the company behind this email that's being sent? So even though you don't see it when you receive it, Constant Contact as a sender, as a tool that sends these emails out for you, has a reputation, a very high reputation among the different email servers around the internet. And it's because they've worked hard for 25 plus years to keep their data internet reputation as clean as possible. So they will actually shut down an account if that account receives too many spam labels. So if someone opts out and says this was spam from your email, once in a while, fine, but a certain percentage does that on one send, and Constant Contact may actually shut your service down because you're hurting the whole Constant Contact reputation, not just your own email address, your own email account. So they've worked very hard, and that's a very rare occasion. That's why we do these educational sessions, is to teach you how to use it properly, how to get results, and not fall into any of those kind of holes. But when you're using different email systems, that's something that you want to pay attention to. How many of your emails are actually being received? And most email systems will give you reporting functions so you can check that. So so that's something to also keep in mind. So now that we've talked about all that, should you purchase an email list? You know, you can purchase mailing lists. You can send postcard mailers and letters and things through a purchased regular mail list. You have the option to purchase email lists. Should you do that? And since I can't see your hands raising, I'm going to guess that most of you now realize no, that's not a good not a good idea, because those people don't know you. They didn't sign up to hear from you. Not only that, but the data is usually flawed. You know, it's just to have accurate email addresses or even demographics about that go with those email addresses. It takes a lot of data crunching to do those matchups. And I don't mean to put down list services because sometimes they work very well. I'm just personally recommending that you don't purchase an email list to use for constant contact, for ongoing monthly communications with an audience. And so here are some reasons, again, why purchasing a list, you're going to get low engagement more than likely. Again, because they haven't agreed to receive your emails. We've talked about the risk of spam, and this would be a case where you're going to get a good percentage of people saying that this was spam. Legal issues that we've talked about. So we're going to now step into how do you build or organically build your list, what we call a healthy list that is going to have high engagement. With email marketing, it's not quantity, it's quality. 100 good email addresses are going to do more for you than 1,000 unknown and possibly harmful email list. So how do you get them to say yes to receiving your emails? Verbally, you're in that networking meeting, you're sharing business cards. You say to the group, hey, I send out a monthly e-newsletter. May I add you to my list? Give it a try. You know, if you find that the material isn't useful for you, you can always opt out. And by the way, if you send a newsletter out, I'd love to get your newsletter too. Similar to social media, like we talked the other day, it can be a two-way street. And in a networking situation, a lot of times you want to help each other. That's kind of the point of networking. So that's an ideal place to add people to your list. If you're on any boards or committees, same idea. Hey, I'd love to add you, even if the board or committee has nothing to do with your business per se, like the topic is not necessarily around your business. These are still people you're working with. So you know, say, do you mind if I add you to my email list? Now, another place is to give them an opportunity to actually sign up if they're purchasing something or doing a donation. If they're already filling out a form, you can have that extra checkbox that says, yes, I'd like to receive your marketing information. Yes, I'd like to receive your monthly newsletter. Yes, I'd like to receive coupons in the future. And then another way is to have an actual online form. All of those things are ways that people give you permission, obviously, to email to them. And so here's an example. You know, the last time you signed up to be on an email list, get a free gift when you subscribe. Well, sure, I'll take a free gift. I don't know if that's makeup or what that is, but you know, you fill it out and now you're going to be on their email list, and you remember filling it out, you got the gift. You are you've given them permission, and more than likely the information is pertinent to you. This is an example of a sign-up form. It's a landing page, actually. This one's created by Constant Contact, and Constant Contact hosts it. And the nice thing about the constant contact form, when they fill it out, is it automatically feeds the email address and the name and into a list that you've already created in constant contact. So it's automated. It's not going into a spreadsheet and now you've got to upload those to your email database. It's automated. This landing page has a URL to it. So on your website, you could have a button that says, click here to join my newsletter or to receive my newsletter. They click the button, it goes directly to this page. They fill it out, feeds directly into your constant contact database. Bada bing, bada boom. Very easy. So we're looking at 3 categories of list growth. So one is in person, like we said. Now in person could be at the point of purchase, could be, like I said, in a networking event, could be you're holding you're have a booth maybe where you're showcasing your services. And so you know, you're talking to someone, you have your iPad or your phone, and you fill it out for them. Hey, would you like to receive our newsletter? Great. In that example with a booth, you could also have a form that they fill out. But that's a little extra work on their part. So you're always trying to make things easier for the person to say yes and to add them. Don't be afraid to ask. You've got good information to share. They're already talking to you. So don't be afraid to say, hey, I send emails out to my network of acquaintances, and may I add you? I think you might find some of the information that I have to share interesting. So don't be afraid to ask. And again, do it when they're making a purchase. If you're helping a customer at your events, there are apps that you can use to help you capture the information. And again, if you use an app that's not connected to your email system, then there's a little bit of manual upload involved, but it's not difficult. And someone like myself, I'm here to help you with those kind of technical things to teach you how to do it. So let's talk about online, and you know, the first place is your website. As much as you would want a form on your website for someone to contact you, you also want them to have the ability to sign up to receive your newsletter. That's where they're going to get, or your blog, which many times converts into a newsletter, into an email. So you can use a pop-up form, and again, Constant Contact has these kind of tools. They can give you that landing page. They can give you a pop-up form that you put onto your website so that it pops up and people just fill it out and they're added. And that's an automatic feed, again, into the contact database that you've created with Constant Contact. Social media, you can post your links and give them ways to sign up that way. You can put a link to that sign up page right in your email signature. Click here to receive my newsletter. And it's in your email. Now, you know how many times you email a day, so someone's bound to want to add their name to yours. It takes them to that landing page that is very simple. They fill it out, and now they've been added automatically. An online lead ad, that has more to do with, and it's another, oops, sorry. We're going to get into that because that's when you offer something of value. And if they sign up to receive that item of value, it's going to give you their contact information. And on that, you don't even need to say, may we? You can just say, by filling this out, you will be added to our monthly newsletter list. You will be able to opt out at any time. So you don't really give them the choice there. On your printed materials, you can have a QR code. That's the easiest thing. You know, promote that you actually have a newsletter that you send out of value. You know, legal tips for a homeowner. Maybe that's the name of the newsletter, and each month you're sending something out. Safety tips, accounting tips, tax tips, financial tips. You know, new information in your newsletter may have a theme. Each month you're sending out something new. People like to receive information on topics that will keep them current. And that goes back a little more to the content of the email itself, which we're not addressing today, but think about your business. What can you send out that is of value and that people might really welcome to get every month? So if you're talking about it in a brochure, about your business in a brochure, let them know they have an easy way to stay in touch, and to stay updated, and offer a QR code. You can also put a sign at your location, again, with a QR code. You know, click here, scan the code to receive future discounts. I know service businesses don't tend to offer discounted, although you might offer a 1-hour free consult. So maybe that's what your poster says. But again, you're getting them to sign up for something, and they'll automatically feed into your contact database. Your business card is a good place to let people know that you have a monthly newsletter. And on that, they can either send you an email, because now they have your email on the business card, or again, a QR code on the back of your card puts them right into the system. So when you're thinking of printed materials, it's not as easy as clicking a button and going online, but there are ways to make it easy. You can also, Constant Contact anyway has a texting service where you can text to join a list. So now let's talk about how you entice people. I've touched on this just a bit already, but how do you get people to want to receive your emails? So first you want to think about why people subscribe. There's 3 main reasons. One is a promotion or a discount. Retailers, this works really well for, obviously. But service-oriented businesses can take advantage of this as well. If you offer coaching packages, you know, 5 weeks of coaching, pay for 4, get 1 week free, or some kind of bundling of your services. If you're able to do that, then that's a great reason why people would subscribe. And what you're doing is you're giving them a one-time offer, but you're getting them into your system so they continue to hear from you, especially if they don't actually act on that offer. I mean, how many times have you asked for a coupon and not taken advantage of it right away? You're going to still hear from that business more than likely until and after you make a purchase. Exclusive content, that's more what I was alluding to earlier. You know, you're my CPA, you want to keep me year after year, feed me information each year that helps me prepare for tax time, and helps me understand my taxes better. That's just, you know, one industry example, but I said this the other day, I haven't met any business that doesn't have something to share to educate people. I don't care if you are a roofer, if you power wash homes, if you're a landscaper, if you're an accountant, a lawyer, you have something to teach relative to your industry. And I'm certainly happy to help you if you think you don't have something to teach, because again, I haven't met any business that doesn't have something of value to share. And then the final thing is to show support. And this goes along the lines of cause marketing. If you're a nonprofit, especially, that's what you're always looking for, are supporters. If you're a business, you might align yourself with a cause and use that to help promote your own business, especially if the cause is somehow related to. So if you offer a pet focused business, grooming or boarding or something like that, and you align yourself with maybe a special canine nonprofit, that adds depth to your brand and gives you additional things to talk about, and that's true on social media or in email marketing. So another thing you want to do when you're asking people to sign up for your newsletters, remove the risk, ease their mind. I'm not going to spam you. I'm not going to sell your email to anybody else. And that's not a bad disclosure to put right on the form itself. We will never share your contact information. So, and I think everyone knows that they feel better when they see that. I tend to believe it. If I don't see that, then I really don't know what they're going to do with my email address. But if you let people know that we're not going to share your email address with anyone or your contact information, we're not going to spam you. You will receive once a month. You will receive twice a month. You will receive once a week. Let them know what your plan is. The other thing is if you have multiple email e-newsletters, you may have a customer base of different types of people that you want to tailor your messages to. So you might be doing a lot of work sending emails out, but those groups are only getting one. And you can segment and better target your message to your audience if you have more than one audience. So you let them know how often they're going to hear from you. Are you going to share my information? Can I opt out? I always let people, and actually in the email itself, you might even at the top of usually the opt out is at the bottom, but at the top of the email, when you're first introducing your newsletter, or you send out the first one, there should be a welcome to our list. Again, reinforcing what you plan to send them. And on the first few that you send out to someone, you might want fine print that says, you are receiving this email because you've opted in to receive it, or we recently met each other, or we've recently discussed business with each other. I hope that you enjoy the information that we will share with you monthly. If at any time, however, you no longer want to hear from us, simply go to the bottom of the email where you can easily opt out of receiving these. So you're being very transparent. You're giving them an easy way to accept receiving your email until they decide they don't want it anymore. If they decide they don't want it anymore. We want to make the sign up as easy as possible. So again, we talked about doing it for them right on your own phone. If you're in an environment where it's one-on-one or you're not real crazy busy. You don't need, for email marketing, at least in Constant Contact, all you need is an email address, and I recommend at least a first name. To keep track, though, of who these people are, you can capture first name, last name, business. There are dynamic fields that you can use in an email. And so depending on the type of information you might want to use dynamically in the email, that might drive you to collect information. But you don't need their mailing address, their phone number, unless you're doing other kinds of marketing and you want to collect it all at once. But for email marketing, make it as simple as you can, so they don't feel like they're, signing away all their information to you. And provide value. Why are they going to sign up for you with you? So here's the coupon. Get 15% off your next purchase. This one, all they're asking for is the email address. Sign up to receive a free adoption guide. Well, that's obviously that's giving information without them committing to adopting. You're sharing information and getting their email address. You're not just putting that information here, click here to download the adoption guide on your website, and then they download it. Have a way to capture who they are when they download it, because that's a real good sign that they are an interested prospective member or donor or sponsor of your cause or business. Free ebooks. So ebooks are great for professionals that offer services. Like I said before, there's always something to educate people on. It may be as simple as a blog. 10 essential steps to growing your business on social media. Email address, and now you download it. And then we're going a little bit into the constant contact sign-up tools that are available. I showed you the landing page. It has a URL assigned to it, so you use it as any other button that clicks over to a web page, and it's a form that they fill out and automatically sends that information directly into constant contact. If you're not using constant contact, or for some other reason, you can still, most websites allow you to collect email addresses through a form, and now you're just doing more of an export out of the website program and importing it into whatever database you're using. But you really want it to be as simple as possible for you too. You don't want to spend too much time on all of this. You can segment your list. So here's an example. You may want to know who signed up because I gave them an ebook or a blog article to download. So that might be one list. Another list might be they were at an event of mine. And then another list might be they signed up for loyalty rewards. So you may be marketing in a bunch of different ways and want to keep track of where your contacts came from. And this goes beyond email marketing. This is the kind of thing that, you're doing market research on your own business and your own customers and what people are interested in. So, yeah, we're just about to wrap up. So I'm hoping you have questions since I covered a lot here. The key is asking for permission, enticing them about what they're going to receive. Keep a strategy in place. If you have staff and they're taking phone calls and they're a receptionist, you can give them the job of asking people, would you care to receive our newsletter? Give them a little training. People are afraid to ask for things from people, but if it becomes part of the process, part of the reception process, if you're a medical, veterinarian, dentist, it doesn't hurt to ask them to fill something out so that you can stay in touch with them. You may already be doing that, but if you're not, if you put a process in place in your office so that other people are helping you gain email subscribers, that will also multiply how many people you end up being able to reach. So there we are. I'm at questions.
Yep, we do have a few questions, Jill.
Okay.
Perfect timing. Okay, so first question is from Stephanie. So how do you get your email through institutional firewalls, like hospitals, for example?
Right. Not easy to do. Not easy to do if you can at all. If you have a close relationship to the people, you can ask them to whitelist you, I believe it's called, where, they actually give you permission to send to them. So, if you are I'm thinking, let's say you provide senior services at home and you would like the discharge nurses or physical therapists or occupational therapists to receive your information. The stronger your one-on-one relationship is with them, the better chance you have of them wanting to get your information and using their own system to allow your email to come through. Otherwise, yeah, But it is going to be on the recipient's side to probably take a measure to let your email reach them.
To get it whitelisted, basically.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So another question is also around email delivery. So what's the deliverability rate that we should be mindful of, or what's a good rate? And I know you were mentioning, different, making sure your service has a good deliverability rate.
Yep. Well, okay, so and here I'll clarify a little bit. So deliverability rate is the amount that mail servers allow emails coming from a certain service. So Constant Contact, their statistic is that they have a 97% deliverability rate. Now, will your list have a 97% deliverability rate to the people you're sending to? Who knows until you do it, because you might have mistakes. You might have incorrect emails. You will get bounces if you've had a typo or you've misread someone's entry or someone's giving you a wrong, or they were working fine, but then they left their job. They know that email no longer exists. So your deliverability rate is different than what I'm discussing on a platform level. So it's important that you keep your contact list clean and updated. And again, in a tool like Constant Contact, you're going to get reports that tell you how many of my emails bounced, and it'll tell you why they bounced. Now, it might have bounced because they have a I'm away on vacation notice. Well, you're not going to delete that because it's just temporary, or mailbox full, it's just temporary. But if you get a bounce reason that says invalid email, undeliverable, opted out, if they've opted out, from your list, you will not be able to send to them again. And if you keep trying, it's Constant Contact won't even attempt to deliver it, especially if it's opted out. So, am I making this clear? There's a difference between the platform's reputation online versus your own ability to reach people, and you definitely want to monitor your personal results of each email send.
Yeah, and you kind of need both, right? You need a good partner, right? Like you're saying, so that they're doing their part. And then for you to do your part, that's where you were saying sort of the difference between, let's say, buying a list, which likely is going to result in more bounce backs because the data might be incorrect. They don't know who you are. They choose to opt out, all that kind of stuff. So you kind of need both pieces, what you're saying, in order to have a good rate of success for your individual business.
Correct, correct. Not only that, but some systems are going to charge you based on the number of emails you have, whether they're active or not. So if you don't delete, that doesn't count opt-ins, but if you don't delete the emails that keep bouncing, you might be paying for more than you need to be paying for. So you always want to have a good, accurate idea of how many people are in your system and are receiving. Constant Contact also shows you if they opened it. So just because they received it doesn't mean they read it. Now that's based on different email systems. If you have a preview pane, you might not be exactly opening it, but you might still be reading it. But how many clicks did someone take inside the email? So that shows you there's actual activity. So you get all those kind of statistics to help analytics to help you see what's going on.
Perfect. So another question, this was around you talked about getting permission to add people to your list. So this question is the request done verbally? Are you suggesting to call prospects to get permissions? I know that you put in some examples, right? Some online examples. But I think maybe just any additional clarity around that would be helpful too.
There's actually a way that if you add someone to a list, you can actually send them something out that is a confirmed opt-in. So you can use that, at least again in Constant Contact, there's a where they confirm that they want to be on your list. So in certain industries, that's actually probably really important to do. So that would confirm that, well, they gave me my business card. I'm going to send them my welcome email but I'm going to ask them to confirm they want to continue receiving from me. So that strengthens the permission level. It strengthens your confidence that they want to hear from you. I love the idea of making phone calls. I'm thinking if you use an intern, what a great summer project is give the intern experience making phone calls, and all they have to do is say, "Hi, I'm calling on behalf of Attorney Joe, and I believe he recently met you. We offer a monthly newsletter, and we'd like to see if we can add you to our email list. And what would be the appropriate email? Constant Contact does not like you to send to info@." That means it's not going to a specific person usually, and it shows less permissibility. So you want to actually be sending to a direct person. You can put them in there, high rate of going into a spam folder.
Okay. Another question, what are the names of some list builder apps?
Oh, I don't know any offhand. The one with Constant Contact is called List Builder. It only works on a tablet. But you download it, and that works really well, again, in a store or at an event. Someone can fill it right out. I can certainly pull a list together and send it to Steve so that when he sends out the presentation, give you some names.
Okay, great.
Yep.
So Esther's asking, does Constant Contact have a demo that shows features of the program? And if so, is it part of the free trial or found elsewhere?
The free trial is a little limited. It might not show you everything, and it limits how many you can actually send. But I actually offer a free 1 hour consult to be used in any way. So I can give a demo, I can walk someone through if they already have an account and they just need to understand deeper how to work with it, or I can give a preliminary view and show the different features that are in the platform. So I'm happy to do that. I will check to see if there are tutorials as well. Constant Contact is one of the best do-it-yourself platforms I've found in terms of the kind of education and support and exercises they offer so that you can get good at using it. That's the goal, making sure you're good at using the tool. So whether, I mean, I'm happy to, as the authorized local expert, I'm happy to walk people through things. I can help them set up a branded template on their email. I can show them how the database works for contacts. So
Perfect.
does that
And so Jill,
answer?
I don't know, maybe if you want to show your contact information again, because then people can either, if you're interested in that, right, you can contact Jill directly.
Yeah.
Or I believe, Jill, right, if they opted into hearing from you, they'll receive an email. Is that
Correct.
Steve or
Yes.
Jill? Yeah.
Yep. And if you
Okay.
didn't opt in, first of all, this QR code will open up a page that lets you sign up for the 30-day free trial. So I recommend doing that if you do want to play around a little bit with you. I will get noticed. If you use this, I will get noticed, and I'll probably reach out to you to see if you need any help. And then if you want to just contact me directly. Oh, I'm sorry, I put the wrong one in. Let me go to the beginning. You can also always Google Tonsha.com. But
Yeah.
let me,
But I think it's a good example of, like, you were just, we were talking about, sending out emails and opting in and everything. So, this whole, webinar is a good example. People sign up for the webinar. In that, they are asked if they are willing to be, want to be contacted by you. That's the authorization, right? The opt-in essentially, and then you can contact them.
right,
And so it's a good marketing tactic, right? You're doing the webinar, you're providing education, like you were saying, and then you're giving them a way to contact you. And now you've got information, their information, so that they can then be on your list if they've opted in to learn, and you can send out updated information and tools and tips and things so that when someone's ready, they remember that you're there and you're there to help.
Exactly. And I would even still treat this as implied permission. Um, first of all, they said yes before they even attended. So, you know, so maybe some people would like to be on the list. Maybe some people, who knows? But so what my initial thing will be is a personal email thanking them for attending, thanking all of you for attending, and giving you the option to confirm you'd like to continue hearing from me. I may ask, what are the subjects you're interested in? And then, so that I will do for both sessions. But it is a good example of,
Great example.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and then we have one more question. This question says, segmenting is a bit confusing. How do I put an address into a segment? Is a segment a separate list, or is it more of a tag on the account? And then does the segment show up as another list?
Yeah. So in Constant Contact, you can have one list, you can have multiple lists. A good example of different lists would be peers, professional peers. So if I'm a realtor, but I want to stay in touch with other realtors, I might have a list of other realtors. Then I might have a list of past customers, people that have purchased from me, purchased a home through me, or that have let me list their home. And then I might have a list of prospects, people that I've met that know me, but I've never done any work for them. Because my list is now broken down by message and by the type of person as I know them. Then you have tags. So you can tag, which is an indexing, a way to index. And so you might have a tag that says, maybe it's by year, 2022, 2023, 2024. Maybe you want to know when, although Constant Contact will show when you've actually added them to the system, but in your own mind, when you met them, maybe that's helpful to you. And then segmenting has more to do with the reaction they've had through your sending to them. So you might have a segment of, that represents people that always open your email. They have a high engagement level versus people that sometimes open it, but not all the time. And then people that don't open it at all. Segmenting helps you use different ways to reach those people, gives you an indication of what else you might need to do. So it's a good awareness, and there's other ways to use segmenting, but they are three different ways to take a look at your contact database.
Yeah, and I sort of think about it like the, the reason to have multiple lists is really broken down in the content, is what you're going to be sharing different to different people, different groups. If so, then you might want to have separate lists. If it's the same, but you want to maybe understand what's working, what's not, or who's responding and who isn't, then just doing sort of like tagging or segmenting might be more helpful, because then you're sending out the same content, but maybe you're tagging people as like previous buyers, or met them at a vendor show or something. So you can kind of see, okay, people that are previous buyers tend to open my email more, and people that are just, I met and, got their information at a show, I'm getting this rate, right? So it's more of a data points, like you said, right?
Yep, yep, exactly. Yep, you might have a wholesaler list versus a retail list. Um, I'm thinking to a church where we had a master list, but then we had a tag for female because they had a women's group. And so sometimes the email was meant just for the women, and so we would just click the tag so that we pulled just the women out. And when you have multiple lists, you can check all of them. I mean, when you send an email, if it's meant for everybody, that's fine too. You just check all the lists. So these are just ways for you to better target your message to who's receiving them.
Yeah.
And that's part of a marketing strategy, which is another thing that, my firm can help is let's figure out what your correct marketing strategy is. Where do you need to focus and how do you break down the tasks?
Yeah. And so someone has asked, if you have two separate companies under one umbrella, do you recommend having two different accounts? For example, like constant contact accounts, or can you segment these two companies within one account?
You can use one account for it. I'm going to say from a practical point of view, it depends on how related the two businesses are. I was just involved with a pet event, so it's on my mind. But one of the businesses had both a uh, uh, I'm sorry, had both grooming services, and then they also had like a bakery. So they're related, the branding is very similar, and I could see them promoting both things even within one email. But if you have completely different branding, while you can change your template each time you go in, um, it's extra work. So I would recommend if you have two unrelated businesses and the branding is different, maybe the name is even different, and there's no benefit to support the businesses supporting each other, then I would keep them separate. Is that a good answer? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that's
Constant
great.
contact. I mean, if you have the platform, the only other thing are the emails that you verify to use the account. So that might be the other thing that would cause you to have separate accounts.
Okay. And then I think our last question is, if you can just speak to it. So this person saying, I know this is presented by Constant Contact since you're a licensed, provider, but they just want to understand what would help them learn how you can use functions regardless of it, with they're using that or they're using a different platform. I think all the tips and tricks you put in here are relevant regardless, right? Any other?
Yeah, absolutely. The strategies that we've gone over would apply even if you're trying to email market from your Outlook account. Things like deliverability and how good the email is going to look, that's going to vary. But the strategies are good practices. They're best practices regardless of the system you're using. What I can't speak to, because I'm faithful to Constant Contact, just because I just have found it to be the best tool. I've tried MailChimp, I've tried a few others, and I just haven't found a tool that does as good a job with formatting and features and all of that. But that doesn't mean the others are bad, and doesn't mean you shouldn't use them, especially if they're part of some marketing package you're already paying for. I just can't speak to technically how to do specific things.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many tools out there
Yeah,
nowadays for
there are.
social media content and marketing content. There's tons of tools, and a lot of them do 99% of the same things. It just might be preference on what you like to use based on what is more user friendly for you or for your type of business. Maybe there's a certain aspect feature that you like in one more than the other. So I think a lot of it is just once you know the tips and tricks and kind of like the things you're looking for, is doing the research on the various tools, and if they have free trials, trying them out and seeing what you like, because a lot of it is just personal preference.
Yeah. Some of it is. Constant Contact also has dozens of integrations with some major platforms. Um, so so that's another consideration if you are using Salesforce or something like that. You might look at integrations. Um, but I do offer, like I said, a 1 hour for email marketing. It's a get started 1 hour where, we actually go on together and set up the account, brand your template, give you some training. And I'm available to help you on that, but that's kind of a typical thing that I do offer. So
Great.
That's great, Jill. Thanks so much. Thanks everybody for joining today. You have Jill's information up on the screen here. If you have more questions, you can contact her to help out in any way that she can. Fantastic information today. So thanks again for doing this. And just for everybody who's on here, if you are interested in working with a SCORE mentor, you can go to score.org, go to the Find a Mentor section and sign up there. We can help you out in any aspect of running your business. And if you're interested in more webinars that SCORE does, check out our YouTube channel. If you go to YouTube and search for SCORE Greater Hartford, you'll see all the video webinars that we have up there. And if you subscribe to that YouTube channel, you'll be notified every time we put a new one up. So thanks again, Jill. Thanks, Elle. This
Thank
was
you.
great to have everybody
Appreciate it.
today. Wish you all the best of luck and take care. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.